Hey mamas, congratulations. You're expecting. Now you've got an overload of information. You're trying to figure out, how am I even going to process this? What do I need to know? Where do I look? Today, we're talking about your choices around that. If you're interested, tune in. Hi, my name is Leslie. I am a disciple, wife, mom, and childbirth doula, and this is where I share about all things birth, faith, and family. And today we're continuing our choices series where we are discussing the choices that you have through pregnancy, birth, and postpartum so that you feel informed and you have the information that you need to make the best decision for you and your baby. So today we're talking about education. So often you've heard it said, education is power. However, I like to say, and I heard this from a mentor once, is that applied education is power. And that's truly where the empowerment piece in birth comes in. So it's great to get educated. It's great to get this information. And I'm hoping these videos are helping you along the way to give you a little bit more insight onto what your choices are and helping to point you into the direction to seek more information so that you can make the best decision for yourself. But in and of itself, it's not enough to just have the education. It's applying it that actually, that's where the empowerment lies. And so that second piece there's education, but that second piece that's important is advocacy. And so I want to take some time to speak about both of those today. And so we're going to start off with education. So as you're trying to figure out where do I even start, or you're already in the midst of it, I highly recommend some type of childbirth education. And there's such a myriad of online childbirth education courses available now. And so if you don't have an in-person, or you don't want an in-person experience, I think now with COVID it's just so much harder, but I recommend check your local area. Maybe there is an in-person childbirth education course that you can take. Look around, do some research if that is an option that you want. What I like about an in-person course is that you do get a little bit more hands-on experience with you and your partner being able to practice some different techniques on you based on what you learn in the course, right? So that's really cool. I've audited a couple of those before COVID and everything like that. So there are some people starting to open up and do those again, so just check your local area. However, if you are okay with online courses, there's so many options. I can recommend to you the ones that I myself have taken. For my first birth, I took the Kingdom Childbirth online course with Kiera Blazer at A Heavenly Welcome. What my husband says is his favorite thing about this course is that it was short and sweet. Between this, having a doula, and also having a planning session with our midwife, my husband felt so comfortable going into a home birth, where at first he was a little bit hesitant, to say the least. And so he felt like this really equipped us. What I loved about this course is that I already know a lot about birth, but what I loved about it was that it incorporated the spiritual element of it, which was some of the most preparation I did for my birth. And so I absolutely loved that about that course. So I will leave the link down below. Let her know I sent you if you're interested in that. Now, for my second birth, I created my own childbirth education course. Now, in my childbirth education course, because I had the majority of my clientele in mind tends to be hospital births. And so a lot of the information that I share there goes more in depth into what choices you have when it comes to different procedures and interventions at hospitals. And so that was a big chunk of the work that I was doing there. Honestly, creating that helped me prepare for my birth. And so that is what we did for my second birth. We took that course. And we went from there. And so that also, if you'd like a preview of that course, I've included the link to my webinar below, which just gives you a preview to just the first lesson on how to overcome the fear of childbirth. And take a look at that. If you're interested, you can take a look at purchasing that as well. Or in place of it. And then also another big thing that I think we often miss is education around lactation. Now, lactation was something that postpartum with my first, I struggled with, and I ended up having the amazing help of an IBCLC at home to help me. That's an internationally board certified lactation consultant, come and help me navigate through lactation. However, even being a doula and having some basic understanding of lactation and having some basic education, I still felt like I could have done a little bit more prep around this. I should have just mentally maybe prepared myself a little bit more about how realistically about how this was going to go. And so that's why now I always recommend that people also get some education around lactation before birth as well. So that's an option that you have. Now, with all this, another great resource for education we talked about last week is if you choose to have a doula. That's like your birth expert right there, who you can ask questions to as things come up. They can give you information, and then with that information, you process it, you make the best decision for you and your baby. And then with that decision made, you can move forward with advocating for your decision, advocating for your choice, right? And so that's the second piece that I want to talk about. I want to talk to you guys about an acronym I've mentioned before. If you've seen some of my past videos, the BRAIN acronym. Now, this is what I always say when you're processing this information, is to use your brain. So when you are being offered something, the BRAIN acronym reminds you to ask, what are the benefits? What are the risks? What are the alternatives? What's my intuition tell me? And do I have the option to do something not now or to do nothing at all? And so with that acronym in mind, you can process, you can know or be guided on what questions to ask to help you make an informed decision for yourself and then be able to advocate for it. So this is where having a doula helps. This is where, because they are a wealth of knowledge when it comes to birth, but also these are questions that you can be asking your doctor, your prenatal care provider, your midwife, as they're offering you or telling you about the next thing or everything that you're being told you have to do next. Ask these questions. Ask these questions because just about everything is a choice, even if there is a recommendation made with it from your care provider. And this is why I'm wearing this shirt that says advocacy does not equal animosity. So shout out to Tracy Weaver at Doula Instincts, at Maternal Instincts. And this quote really resonates with me because just because you have information that you have processed and made a decision, and now you would like to vocalize that choice, and it may not be the recommendation that, or it may be counter to the most popular thing that most people are doing, does not mean that it has to create animosity between you and your care provider. And so I feel like that's sometimes the hesitancy that comes around advocating for oneself when it comes to birth. It can come from a myriad of different reasons, but I just encourage you to push through that and truly have those conversations. Start to practice having those conversations in the pregnancy stage, during your prenatal visits, starting to have those conversations with your prenatal care provider so you know where they stand on the issues as well. And you can also know for yourself, okay, well, I may need to advocate a little bit more for what I'm looking for in terms of an intervention-free birth at a hospital. That is that is, I may need to, or I've got a very supportive doctor who's, who seems to not just be tolerating what I want, but also really seems on board for my pursuit of a natural birth, even in a hospital birth setting, right? So those are just things to note, and those are things to navigate. And if you guys want more on that, or you'd like me to share more on that, please let me know down in the comments. I would love to make more videos on advocacy because I am very passionate about it. And then I would say that I just want to end with letting you know some of those decisions that you can now take some time to get some education around and and then advocate for yourself around based on your choices for what you want to do. So just to name a few that you have during pregnancy, you have choices around what blood work you get done. So are you going to do the genetic testing or not? Why or why not? That's some things that's something you can take a look at researching and going from there, right? You have options around monitoring your baby. So do you want a sonogram? Do you want to use the Doppler? Do you want to use a fetoscope? Is that an option? Does your prenatal care provider offer that? What are your choices around how you monitor your baby? Take a look at those, right? I know that will you do a full anatomy scan at 20 weeks or not? Why would you consider maybe not doing one? Why would, things like that. That's actually, why would you consider maybe not doing, or do you want to do that? What does it entail? Get some information around that. Then you also have, and I'll link this video down below, you have the option about how you get tested for certain things, like, for example, gestational diabetes. There is a really sugary drink that has to be consumed for that test. There are some options around that. So I actually made a separate video completely on that, so you could take a look at that. And my biggest one that you have choices around is vaginal checks. I know, right? Vaginal checks. So I could talk about vaginal checks in a whole video because I don't like vaginal checks. And I will be full disclosure, I've never had one. I have witnessed countless women have them, and they always seem very, very painful. And I am very thankful I have not had one. I've had 2 births, and and now I'm in my 3rd pregnancy, and I still haven't had any vaginal checks, and I expect it to stay that way. That is one of my personal choices. However, I have reasons for that. It looks painful, mostly that's why. And I have personally don't believe for me, I don't need to know how far along I am, and I prefer not to know, and that is how I have come to terms with and made my best decision for me. I share that with you because I want you to know that you have a choice around that, and so I'm not judging you whichever way you choose to go with that, but might be something that you want to get a little bit more information on and advocate for yourself with your prenatal care provider about maybe not having quite as many or not having any at all. Okay, with that, mamas, I know this video was a little bit longer. I'm trying to keep these short and sweet, but I really, really hope that this gives you some things to think about, so a little bit more clarity on your options around education and advocacy for birth, or at least some tools for how you can advocate during birth. And if you have any questions or you want to hear about any of those choices that I offered, like more videos on okay, what are my choices around, what is all this blood work, all this stuff, let me know. We can talk about it. Maybe I can make a video about it. Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get alerted every time I put out a new video. Thanks so much for being here. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.